My name is Emily, and I spend my days exploring the wonders of science. Much of my time is spent looking at data, running models, and talking with other scientists who study our planet. Today, on August 27, 2025, I want to talk to you about something that occupies a lot of our thoughts. A number. That number is 1.5. You've probably heard it mentioned on the news or seen it in headlines. It's the target for global warming that world leaders agreed we should try to stay below, but it's not just a number on a chart or a political talking point. It represents a critical threshold for the health of our planet and for the kind of world we will live in. It's a boundary marker between a future we can manage and one that becomes increasingly difficult and dangerous for everyone, everywhere. People often ask me if we should be scared. My answer is that we should be aware, we should be concerned, and most importantly, we should be motivated. This isn't a monster under the bed story. This is about understanding the real-world consequences of our collective actions. Think of it like a health diagnosis. A doctor might tell you that your cholesterol is getting high. That news isn't meant to frighten you into paralysis, but to empower you to make changes to your diet, to your exercise routine, so you can live a longer, healthier life. The 1.5 degrees Celsius target is our planet's health warning. It's a signal that we need to change our habits, not tomorrow, but right now, to secure a stable and prosperous future for generations to come. So, what exactly is this 1.5 degrees Celsius target? Let's start with the basics. This number represents the increase in the average global temperature compared to the time before factories, cars, what scientists call pre-industrial levels. Think of the Earth as having a natural thermostat. For thousands of years, that thermostat was set to a relatively stable temperature, which allowed human civilization to flourish. But since the Industrial Revolution, we started burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, gas on a massive scale. This released huge amounts of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. These gases act like a blanket, trapping heat from the sun and causing the Earth's average temperature to rise. The 1.5 degrees Celsius mark is the limit scientists have identified as a critical guardrail. It comes from decades of intensive research by thousands of scientists all over the world. They studied how different levels of warming would affect everything from coral reefs, crop yields, to sea levels. They found that the impacts of climate change get significantly worse with every fraction of a degree of warming. The difference between 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees of warming might not sound like much, but for the planet, it's a huge leap. At 1.5 degrees, we can expect serious challenges, but many of our planet systems, like our ecosystems and weather patterns, might still be able to adapt. Think of it like a fever. If your body temperature goes up by 1.5 degrees, you feel sick, but you can probably manage with rest and medicine. If it goes up by 2 degrees or more, you're in a much more dangerous situation, and the risk of serious complications increases dramatically. It's the point at which scientists predict we will start to see irreversible changes or tipping points. For example, at 1.5 degrees, we might still save some of the world's coral reefs. At 2 degrees, scientists predict they will almost all be gone. When we talk about the world getting warmer, it's easy to think it just means more pleasant, sunny days. But that's a dangerous oversimplification. Surpassing the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold triggers a cascade of effects that will touch every aspect of our lives. The most direct change is more intense and frequent extreme heat waves. Imagine the hottest summer day you've ever experienced. Now imagine those days happening more often, lasting longer, and reaching even higher temperatures. In many places, this won't just be uncomfortable, it will be deadly. Cities will become urban heat islands. Concrete and asphalt absorb and radiate heat. Temperatures climb, especially dangerous for the elderly, young children, and outdoor workers. This isn't a problem for some distant future, it's already happening. We see it in the news every summer. Europe, North America, Asia, temperature records are being broken with alarming regularity. These aren't just statistics, they have real-world consequences. Heat waves strain power grids as everyone turns on air conditioning, leading to blackouts. Roads and railway lines buckle, disrupting transport. Heat-related illnesses and deaths increase significantly. Wildfires are a vivid example. Hotter, drier conditions make fires start more easily, spread faster, and burn more intensely. These fires destroy forests and homes and release massive amounts of carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere, creating a dangerous feedback loop that accelerates global warming. They blanket regions in smoke, causing severe air quality problems and respiratory issues for millions. Beyond fire and heat, a warmer world means less ice. Greenland, Antarctica, mountain glaciers are disappearing. This meltwater flows into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise. The consequences of a warmer planet extend directly to something we all depend on every single day, our food. The global food system is a complex and delicate network, and it is highly sensitive to changes in climate. Think about the basic ingredients for growing food: stable temperatures, reliable rainfall, healthy soil. Climate change is disrupting all three. Exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold will make it significantly harder to grow the crops that form the foundation of our diet, such as wheat, corn, rice, soybeans. When it gets too hot, their yields decline sharply. The breadbaskets of the world are facing unprecedented stress. A severe heat wave hits a major agricultural region. The extreme heat stresses the plants, reducing how much grain they can produce. At the same time, the heat can also lead to drought, starving the crops of the water they need to survive. The result is a much smaller harvest than expected. Because there is less food available on the global market, prices go up. This means that your weekly trip to the grocery store becomes more expensive. The cost of bread, pasta, cereal, meat, since livestock are fed with these grains, all increase. Many of our favorite foods are also at risk: coffee, chocolate. As temperatures rise, the land suitable for growing these crops shrinks. This threatens the livelihoods of millions of small farmers and potentially makes these items a luxury for consumers. For the world's poorest populations, it can mean the difference between having enough to eat and going hungry. The oceans, which provide a critical source of protein for billions of people, are not immune. As the oceans absorb heat and excess carbon dioxide, they become warmer and more acidic. Ocean acidification makes it difficult for shell-building creatures to form their protective shells, oysters, clams, and bleaches corals. This threatens the marine food web. Fish populations are migrating toward cooler waters at the poles, disrupting fisheries that coastal communities have relied on for centuries. Surpassing 1.5 degrees means the stability of our food supply, both from land and sea, will be fundamentally undermined. Water is the lifeblood of our planet, and climate change is putting the entire global water cycle into a state of overdrive. Think of the water cycle as the Earth's circulatory system. Water evaporates from oceans and lakes, forms clouds, travels through the atmosphere, and then falls back as rain or snow. As scientists, we are trained to be objective, to let the data speak for itself. We spend our careers in front of computer screens, running climate models, out in the field measuring ice cores and ocean temperatures. We write papers filled with charts, graphs, and statistical analyses, but we are also human. I want to be honest about the emotional toll this work takes. There is a term for this feeling: climate grief. It's sadness for what we are losing. Glaciers that have stood for millennia, vibrant coral reefs teeming with life, and the stability of the climate that has allowed our civilization to thrive. There are moments of deep frustration and anger too. We have been issuing warnings for decades. The scientific consensus has been crystal clear, yet action has been painfully slow. But despair is not where we end up. Fear and anxiety are natural, but they are not productive endpoints. Our work is driven by curiosity and a desire to solve problems. Every new study is another tool in our toolbox. It helps identify effective actions to reduce emissions and adapt to changes already underway. Wind, solar, coastal flood defenses, reforestation. One of the most common questions I get is whether passing the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold means it's game over for humanity. The answer is an emphatic no. This is perhaps the most important thing to understand. The 1.5 degrees target is not a magical cliff edge. Everything isn't fine at 1.49 and doom at 1.51. It's a critical guardrail. Crossing it is very, very bad. Think of it this way. If you're driving toward a cliff, stop as far from the edge as possible. 1.5 is that safe distance. If the car keeps rolling, don't drive off the cliff. Slam on the brakes at 1.6 or 1.7 or wherever we can. Every fraction of a degree we prevent matters. If we pass 1.5 comma, the mission becomes more urgent. Focus will be twofold: mitigation, cut greenhouse gas emissions now, and adaptation, prepare communities for unavoidable impacts. Large-scale carbon dioxide removal is scientifically possible, but far more difficult and expensive than preventing the emissions in the first place. Adaptation examples: Seawalls, mangrove restoration, drought-resistant crops, efficient irrigation, green urban spaces, and cool roofs all build resilience and protect the most vulnerable among us. It's easy to feel small and powerless in the face of a global problem like climate change. You might wonder, what can I, one person, possibly do? The truth is, individual actions multiplied by millions create cultural and political shifts. Your choices matter. Talk about it with friends, family, and colleagues. Share what you've learned. Use your voice. Tell your local city council member and national representatives. Vote for candidates with credible, ambitious climate policies. Join or support organizations advocating for change. As a consumer, your choices send signals. Improve your home's insulation, switch to energy-efficient appliances, rethink transportation, walk, bike, take transit, reduce food waste, and shift toward a more plant-rich diet. Stay informed by reading credible scientific sources. Be mindful of climate anxiety. Find a contribution that feels meaningful and sustainable for you. Volunteer with local environmental groups, start a community garden, educate others, and join collective action. Every positive step, however small, contributes to the larger solution. You are part of a global movement. There is immense hope and strength. As we stand here on August 27, 2025, we are at a pivotal moment in human history. The science is clear and the challenge before us is immense. The path to staying below 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming is now incredibly narrow, and it's possible we may miss that mark. It is natural to feel a sense of loss for that possibility, but our story does not end there. The future is a spectrum of possibilities, and where we land is being decided by the actions we take today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Our future is not determined by fate, but by choice. This is not a challenge for scientists or politicians alone. It requires engineers, artists, indigenous wisdom, faith leaders, young activists. It requires all of us to rethink our relationship with the planet and with each other. Every fraction of a degree matters. Every year we act matters. Every choice we make matters. The work ahead is hard, but it is the most important work we will ever do. Our shared future is still in our hands.